Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's July 13th. This will be our chart listen for the day. And you can see here on the daily chart, we had another big bullish day up. We continue to push higher here. Um, we moved this line up yesterday. Um, is this an overshoot or what? We'll move it up again. We did close slightly inside over extremely overbought territory, so we could still go higher here yet. This market wants to go higher. Don't argue with it. The odd thing about it is it doesn't go anywhere during regular trading hours. They move it up during the overnight, and they move it up just at the end of the close of the day when everybody's gone already closed up and quit trading. So somebody's coming in early and buying, and somebody's coming in late and buying. Um, you know, who that is, it doesn't really matter, but that's when they're moving the market. During the regular trading hours, it's just a mixed bag of up and down going nowhere. So it doesn't really sell off, but it doesn't really go much higher either. So they're doing this in the overnight. As big as this rally was today, it was a horrible trading day. There weren't many setups. I mean, there might be two or three trades I think that I liked that I marked red or blue. I can't even remember if there were that many. But not a very good trading day. Where you did get a setup, the signal bars were horrible. It's just it wasn't a good trading day. At least it wasn't on my chart. Maybe your chart looks better than mine. It's hard to say, but anyway, it looks really bullish on the daily chart. But when you look at it, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. When you look at it, you can see all the movements in the overnight and just before the close. So let's flip over that chart and take a look. Okay, here's a look at it. The 2000 tick chart. I don't know why I can't turn that off. Okay, for some reason I cannot turn these crosshairs off, so I apologize. Um, I'm not going to restart this thing and just to get that back. There's not even enough trades to make it worthwhile. You can see the early morning overnights where most of the movement came from. Then we just pretty much went flat. We actually got some of the movement after, like after 1 o'clock here where it rallied up here. And we actually did sell off some during the last few minutes instead of creeping up. So it's a little bit different than I originally described it, but not much. Most of this movement's been coming in the overnight or either late in the afternoon. And today it just came in a little earlier, so it looks like a bit more legitimate buying here, maybe. Looks like from about lunchtime on. So anyway, most of the day we just spent going sideways. The whole morning we went sideways. So you got a few entries on this late rally, but other than that, there's just not much here. But let's zoom in. We'll go through them real quick. And it's Thursday, so this will wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Friday, so it's going to be short and sweet today. But 7 o'clock came right in here somewhere. I think as we're just as we're working our way up here. Yeah, you can see as we're working our way up, and that's right into the news item. So there's nothing prior to that. So you just kind of want to sit tight. This would have been tempting here. You could call that a triple test. It is a lower high, so maybe you want to wait on a higher low. I'm sorry, I said a lower high. It's a lower low because it was lower than the last two. And so you might want to wait on a higher low before you went long there. But and it's right in that news item, so I'd just probably skip that. Nothing in here, nothing I see I'd want to trade. This is an inside bar, so you can't go short on it. And then we bounce here, and there's just nothing happening. You finally get a second entry short here, and it's a low risk bar, way away from the EMA. It's like 4 ticks, but there's a close outside here, but there's only one leg up. And a lot of times you get two, which you do here. So this is risky because you may not get a scalp out of it, but we are a long way away from the EMA, so you might want to risk that. Then you get your second leg up, and that's just not bearish enough. And originally I had this line up here like so, but I moved it down later because it fit better down here. So just assume this is the range right in here originally. and you're just playing each side of this. This one's tempting, but it's a break lower, so I'd probably want to wait on a higher low, and you don't get that. You're right into the highs again before you get a decent signal bar, and then it's an inside bar. It does make a equal bottom, so you might could take that trade, but it just looks too congested. And then here's your short after a break and new high, but again, it makes a new high, so you're better off waiting on the lower high, and it is just a first entry, even if, even though we're not looking for second entries, if it, so it's a possibility. It's just not a great trade. Finally, you get a lower high here, so maybe you take that one. It would have worked. There's a little sideways action here, but it's not really congestion. You don't get that doji bar until afterwards, so at this point it's not really congestion. So maybe you take that one. Runs down, it comes back here, but no signal bar. Finally drops down here. You're still inside this channel, no break or close outside yet. That's too risky. And at this point, this looks like a failed break out of this maybe upper channel. But so you might expect prices to go up, but you can't do it with that trend line right there. And you can tell the way it gaps over there that's in a valid spot. It finally comes down and gives you two legs to back down and finds another higher low, but the signal bar is inside, so no trade there. Runs back up to the upper side, and once again, the signal bar just has too big a stem on it for me. I mean, that's another one that maybe it's close, but I don't like it. You might say, hey, there's a lower high here, but it's right into the midline, and look at all those dojis, and it's not something I really like. It is a fairly bearish bar. I mean, as ugly as this day has been, and we had been kind of going back and forth here. We really hadn't established back and forth from the high to the low yet, though. Maybe we did up here, and maybe we did down in here, but not from the high to the low or from the low to the high, back to the low, back to the high. We haven't established that yet. So that's really risky going short right into that EMA and that midline. And you see what happens. It would have got you a scalp out of it, but it doesn't go very far, and then it's running back up again. And you do get the high, a move higher here. You can't trade that even if you like that. I mean, if you had a really good signal bar, maybe you make that green, but you want to wait on the lower high, which comes here, and it's a green signal bar. So you can't really trade that. Finally bounces off these lows again, and you get an inside doji. So I mean, there's just no setups on my chart. Maybe if you had a good signal bar here, go long. If you had a good signal bar here, go short. But it's just not happening on my chart. So I don't know if it's just my chart or if that's just the way it was today. But anyway, we get this strong green channel working up, trend channel. You get a break, first entry, pull back. You get a double test here. Normally I'd like to see a triple test, but with a double test and second entry long right here, if it breaks higher, it'll probably at least test these highs again and hopefully make a new high. So that one's maybe worth taking. I marked it green. It's real close. You could almost argue for that to be blue. The reason I didn't mark it is because I usually like to see at least a triple test there if you're going to take a breakout. Normally these fail, so you got to be thinking maybe a short here. But of course you don't want to go short right into the support resistance line yet when it just held here, so no way you can go short here. Maybe you took the engulfing bar short, but I think you're a little early there because of this trend. So that's another possibility of actually going short right there first. And it's really hard to flip-flop like that. So if you went short, you probably wouldn't go long. But if you didn't go short, maybe you go long right there. You get a higher low right here, but it's really starting to look congested across there. It works, but notice it runs up and it gives you a second entry short. So now you got the break and you got more than a couple legs up. Again, it made a new high, so you'd probably be thinking wait on a lower high, but you could take this, and again, it's close to being red. Your lower high comes here, no setup. Then you're just chopping sideways, and next thing you know, you're down here, and it reverses right at that, pretty much at the midline. But again, no signal bar. I don't think there's any reason to go long there either. I mean, it's probably something like this. It could be. Maybe it's like that. I never drew this because it just wasn't anything really setting up out of it. To me, that looks like an overshoot. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just two tier. But there is a channel working down there. I'm thinking it's more like this. And you get an overshoot and then it reverses. And so that would have been a place to think about going long, but that's too neutral a signal bar. No entries here. Again, no entries here, just congestion. Finally, you get two legs back and bounce right off. Well, technically, you wouldn't have that key entry point yet. It would have come on this one. But the signal bar is no good, and that looks congested. So now you make a high or low here, and you get a nice signal bar, and that does confirm that trend line. I like going long there. And then you get a failed second entry short here. This is a continuation pattern. And notice all those are bouncing right off that midline too. That breaks lower momentarily and fails and turns up. If it breaks above those three highs right there, it's probably going to at least give you a scalp. So maybe you trade that as an engulfing bar. I'd probably wait for this to close and then see what happens. But I like going long there. And it actually pulls back again here. And this is actually supposed to be more like this. Oops. But that's just a first entry, so you can't take it. Again, another first entry. We're getting further and further away from the EMA here too. And this time it really takes off before it sells off. And again, that's just a first entry, the first break of that channel. But you get a high or a low here, and I like that one. If it breaks above that, it's probably going higher, at least for a scalp. It's a little late in the day, but it's not quite 2:30 yet, so I don't see any reason why you can't take that one if you like it. And I mean, it was pretty obvious we were getting into a fairly strong trend. That was the first break of the green channel, so there's a good chance we're going higher. And it's a first entry, pull back, second entry long, and there's enough room to get out before those highs. So I like that one. I mean, there just wasn't much here today. That's it. A lot of green ones, and even them, I'm just not crazy about a lot of them. So if you traded this morning, you just sat here and you either probably sat here and didn't take any trades, or you probably got burned is what probably happened to you. So if you had a bad day today, felt like a hard trading day, you know, don't beat yourself up because it was a hard trading day. There's just not much here. You know, maybe you had some better signal. I mean, there's a few places where there were setups, but the signal bars just didn't occur, didn't happen or whatever. And maybe your chart was slightly different. I don't know. If it was, you know, take advantage of it. And if it wasn't, there's not much you can do about it. So it's just the way it goes sometimes. We've had some pretty good trading days lately, and there's still some movement here, but really because of the news early, and then because this was just such a tight range all the way across here, we didn't really start to get any movement till late in the afternoon. And there are 2 or 3 trades out there late in the afternoon. But it's hard to, if you trade the mornings like me, it's hard to sit here all day and wait till 1:30 in the afternoon before you start to get any real movement and setup. So it's just a difficult day to trade. Anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to wrap this one up early today. We'll be back again to do it Monday. No chart lessons tomorrow on Friday. I don't do them on Fridays anymore. But we'll be back Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.